Hello, this is Peter Murphy, President and CEO of the Illinois Association of Park Districts. Today, we are presenting another video as part of our Legends video series. One of the missions of IAPD is to recognize outstanding park, forest preserve, and conservation district board members throughout the state of Illinois. I hope the knowledge and insights these great leaders provide will inspire you to continue to make a positive impact at your agency and in your community. Please enjoy.
Hello, I'm Wayne Utterback, Director of Communications and Digital Content for the Illinois Association of Park Districts, and I'm pleased today to be joined by the Chief Operating Officer of the Village of Hawthorn Woods, Pam Newton, for the latest in our IAPD Legends video series. Thank you so much, Pam, for taking time out of your day to sit and talk with me.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Wayne. I've been looking forward to this journey with you.
Now, can you give me just a little bit of background about how long you've been with your municipal parks department and maybe just a little bit about your own personal background?
I actually started off as an employee in the park district system in the village of Vernon Hills back in the mid-'80s. I was a teacher in the early childhood education program. And from there, I became a municipal trustee and jumped from there to Lake County government, where I served as the vice president of the Lake County Forest Preserve District. From that arena, I really shot into more regional and federal agencies, working for NACO's Land Use, Energy, and Environment Commission as the chairman of the board there. And also serving so honorably, I was honored to serve as the chairman of the board for the Illinois Association of Park Districts during my tenure as a forest preserve district commissioner. And I left that county position to serve here in the municipality of Hawthorn Woods. And I serve as a chief operating officer and oversee the Parks and Rec department. So we are a member agency with IAPD as a municipal Parks Department, a little bit different than a park district. I think our interests, our conflicts, and our achievements are very similar to park districts. There's never enough funding and always more projects. So the balancing act from my position, Wayne, is one of making sure that our Parks and Recreation Department is as top of priority as roads and drainage. So in our community, our parks are priorities because they're the gathering spaces for our residents and community. In fact, never more so than coming off of the 2020 pandemic year, where I believe our Parks Department, Wayne, served as a refuge of mental health for our constituency.
Now, what can you tell me about your municipal parks department that makes it really special and unique?
Well, we all consider ourselves public servants. So here in the village of Hawthorn Woods, I think our Parks and Rec department stands out, first of all, because of our director of that department, Brian Sullivan. Some of you may know that he was selected as Professional of the Year some years ago back at the IAPD annual conference. And he has not let go of that achievement. He earns that level of excellence every single year. So Brian Sullivan is absolutely a key component to our success. And then the others in our department serve with such heart and passion that, and I can't discount the volunteers. We're a smaller department than a park district maybe. And so we need extra hands to help. And those extra hands come from the community. So we have a very engaged community in our Parks Department.
And what would you say was the main motivating factor in really taking that step to become a commissioner?
You know, I credit my grandparents back probably in the 70s for getting me involved in the Sierra Club. So as a commissioner of the Forest Preserve District, our mission was education, preservation, conservation, and recreation. So we had very similar goals to park districts, but as a forest preserve commissioner, we took that to a regional level. And my interest started as a young girl. Growing up, my home was in a forest. We called it the woods. And my grandparents got me involved in Sierra Club from a very early stage, teaching me that if we want to take the responsibility to create a legacy of the land that I inherited, I needed to take a leadership role to pass that forward to the next generation, even better than we found that legacy of land. So I got involved at a very early age, Wayne, before I knew it would become a passion and a profession.
And what keeps you engaged and involved today?
Oh, today I'm still involved with numerous environmental agencies and activities. You know, the one thing I learned early on is that good things don't come to those who wait. Good things come to those who go and make it happen. And this industry that you and I and our viewerships are all involved in, this arena of environment, recreation, and nature. Our ecosystems are really supported by passionate people. These aren't people who sit back and wait for good things to come. These are people who go and make it happen. It's an actionable group. And I found myself very much at home with people who wanted to make a difference and not wait for a difference. So I'm pretty active in several environmental groups today, as well as overseeing the municipal parks department here in Hawthorn Woods.
Now, obviously, there are many challenges that new commissioners face. What is one piece of advice that you would give to those who are new at the position? What would you tell them in order to find success?
So we have elected board members. So our elected board members aren't called commissioners. Here in the municipal realm, they're called board of trustees. So part of our orientation, Wayne, is that, of course, you know, they get the handbook, they get the walkthrough, but more importantly, they get the tour of the parks. So I'm going to use a term that's really hot right now in many of my associations, such as American Bloom. I'm very active with that national foundation. The buzzword I want to throw out there is emotional infrastructure. So often we hear about, let's build community centers, let's build trails, let's build more fields, and all of that is great. We support that too. But emotional infrastructure is equally as important. So I take the new trustees around and I show them, when you ask someone, what do you love about your town? They're probably not going to say the great sidewalks. They're going to say, I love our parks. I love those flowers. I love that preserve, those trees. I love this rec area because I can go play tennis and not have to wait. That's what people will tell you about your town. I call it emotional infrastructure, and we invest in emotional infrastructure because that's what keeps your community engaged in your parks system.
From your own personal experience, what's a philosophy that you believe a good commissioner should adopt?
Engage your heart. That is the easiest philosophy that's pretty contagious around here because first of all, our trustees, like many park commissioners, do not receive compensation. They do it for the love of the game, if you will. So we always tell them, engage your heart, because then it becomes a passion and it becomes a lifelong a journey so that their life makes a difference and leaves a legacy for the next generation behind. So we engage our heart around here quite a bit. I credit that phrase to a former mayor here in Hawthorn Woods, Joseph Mancino, who gave us all pins. And that's exactly what it says. And on my cell phone every day, Wayne, when my alarm goes off, it creates a message with a little heart and it says, engage your heart. So all of us here at the village wake up to that message every single day on our cell phone alarms. So we live it.
Now, during your time as commissioner, I'm sure you've met so many incredible professionals. What would you say are some of the key attributes possessed by those who are at the absolute top of their field?
You know, we all have so much in common, and that is, getting involved and leading from side by side instead of out in front or behind shouting, let's go, let's go. You know, I have found so much in common with all of my colleagues in the parks system, whether it's a forest preserve conservation district, special rec district, whether it's a park district or municipal parks department. The people all engage. I remember our slogans. I'm old enough now to remember the slogans, take time for fun, making a difference. But we all have this drive, this kind of personality in common that we want to make a difference. And we recognize that a difference needs to be made. So if we don't make it, who will? And so I think we have all of this in common with everyone I meet within the Illinois Association of Park Districts. We all have the desire to make it happen. And I think we should celebrate that as an organization.
I'm sure you've also seen many challenges throughout your time as commissioner. What do you see as the major challenges in the field of parks and recreation today? And how do you think we can best resolve those?
A lot of us will say the same thing, the financial challenges. So I'm going to just assume that and move beyond that. So we are living in a time, Wayne, that no one has lived through before. A pandemic that we hope is coming to an end, and a recovery path forward. So, we all have the needs of finances, because last year our programs, and we do programs, and we have an aquatic center, we have summer camp, just like our park district colleagues, we didn't bring in the revenue as anticipated. So there is that financial recovery, but there's also, a mental health respite that we are focusing on this year, of getting people back together safely, of offering some diversity of concern besides being at home with your loved ones or your children who are not yet in the vaccination stream. And so those are challenges this year in 2021 and into 2022. I call it pandemic recovery, but a lot of that, besides the financial recovery, is emotional recovery. And we're very well aware that we need to get people back outside safely. And I don't think it's taking a whole lot of work on our part. We just need the good weather, and people are coming back out to the parks. So that's what we're focusing on in 2021 as a challenge.
On the other side of the coin, what opportunities have you seen in your time with the Municipal Parks Department?
That's such a great question, because we all pivoted. We all did the paradigm shift in 2020, and we have left that digital programming behind, and we are now fully open for concerts in the park every week, and Bark in the Park events with canines, and our summer aquatics and camp sessions. So our messaging has changed this year. Instead of, stay home and stay safe, we are saying come out and leave no child left inside. So our big campaign this year is one that literally is called Leave No Child Left Inside. And so it's working. We are getting people back out. We have 27 different parks or preserves for our 8,400 residents to choose from. So in a small community of 8,400 people, we have 27 parks and park properties. That's a phenomenal choice. So we're directing them to passive nature walks, if that's what suits that family best or most comfortable. Or we're addressing them, hey, let's get back out into the pool and aquatics and camp and recreational amenities at some of our other parks. So we are focusing on a campaign this year, Leave No Child Left Inside.
Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Illinois Association of Park Districts and what your experience has been with the organization. And I always like to start off by just asking, what are some of the benefits of a commissioner getting involved with IAPD?
Oh my goodness. I think there's a slogan, the benefits are endless, and they are. So I'm old enough to have worked under the wonderful leadership of Ted Flickinger, and of course, Peter Murphy, Jason, our legislative, Bobby Joe, our communicator. And the benefits of IAPD are, of course, networking and information sharing. But oh my goodness, I've never seen the benefits more important than we're just sharing right now, which is how to get through something none of us have ever experienced before, the pandemic. So the benefits of collaboration and information sharing has been, absolutely invaluable. We have networked. There's actually a network, Wayne, of municipal park departments that are part of IAPD, as well as, park district colleagues. So we have shared information among ourselves, and IAPD has been an invaluable resource. I watch the legislative updates all the time. Thank you, Jason. And we know what's going on. We know our lobbying efforts are working, especially when it comes to funding for our legislative priorities. And the membership value of IAPD for us as a municipality is invaluable.
Now, I know I'm previously talking to you that you've had a lot of different experiences with IAPD. What can you tell me about your time as a member?
I was so honored to have been selected to serve on the board. So when I was selected to serve on the board, I was a Forest Preserve District Commissioner, having been elected to that seat. And from being a board member, I worked my way up over the next 4 years to the top spot to be the voice of IAPD to the elected officials and the municipal park districts, forest preserves, and conservation districts. So I was honored to serve as chairman of the board with this esteemed agency. And through that effort and our legislative efforts, we were able to push forward a lot of our legislative agenda and funding for that legislative agenda, or in terms of today's world, not cutting the funding for some of those important grant opportunities. So my work with IAPD is heartfelt. I absolutely love the association, what it stands for, and what we're able to provide for our residents. And the biggest change I've seen over the years since I was on the board of the Illinois Association of Park Districts is that we had to start teaching the legislators what the value of parks meant to the Illinois economy. Now, I think they've got it, and they know that the value of parks even exceeds economic contributions to the state of Illinois' budget. They go far beyond dollars and cents, and they go to the health of the people of Illinois, both physical and mental. And we've learned that succinctly this past year. So that's been my experience with IAPD, not only as a member agency, but as a member of the board.
Now, when someone looks back on your time with your agency, how would you hope that they remember you? How would you hope that they look back on your time with your municipal parks department?
I would hope that they would see that I wore my heart on my sleeve and I did my public service with joy. And the reason that I think that joy is so important to me is because you can teach people to be polite or well-mannered or even kind. I have never found a program that teaches people to be joyful. I think that's something that you have to create yourself. And then if you have enough of it, you can share it forward and spread it around. I would like to be remembered as someone who is joyful in public service.
Looking back on your service, what would you consider to be your major contribution to the field of parks and recreation?
I think getting others engaged, getting the community engaged and loving their park, that emotional engagement. It went from a group of small, dedicated people who loved the land and who loved their parks and who believed and understood the value of recreation and conservation. I think my contributions have gone from the elite groups who did that to spread that message forward to all people so that these parks weren't under the jurisdiction of the Parks Department or the Park District, but we really created this scenario that our parks belonged to everyone. And if you engage the community emotionally in their parks, they're less likely to destroy them or litter them or leave behind some unwanted written graffiti from time to time or take out aggression against one of the play pieces. So I think that's been one of my contributions, Wayne, is making sure that the people knew the parks were theirs and not the park districts or the park departments.
Now I want to ask some more fun questions, something with a little bit more. I'd like to ask just a couple of fun questions now. What is some of the best advice you've ever received?
That's a great one. One of the best pieces of advice I ever received was from our late Senator Adeline Geocaris of Zion. Some people may remember Geo, a feisty woman. And she used different language, but I'll clean it up just for this interview. She said, Pam, never sit on the fence. You know, you're going to have a room full of people who want you to vote no to that park because it might disturb their rest on a Saturday. But remember the other thousands of people who aren't in that room that want you to say yes. So she told me succinctly, never sit on the fence. You take a position and you passionately fight for it and advocate for it, because the only thing that'll happen if you sit on the fence is there will be a spike on your behind. And I've never, ever deviated from taking a position that was the right thing to do, even if it was unpopular in the room at that time. So I thank and credit Senator Geo Karas for that great piece of advice.
Now, conversely, what advice would you give to a 20-year-old?
I would say, it's a word I used just a few minutes ago, but I would tell a 20-year-old, find your joy. Because if a 20-year-old is looking for a job, especially in Parks and Rec, this may not be the industry for you, because you're not going to get rich quick if you're looking for a job. But if you're looking to take, if you're joyful in it and you're passionate about it and you're willing to take your heart along with you in this journey, this is one of the best professions you could ever engage in. So a 20-year-old, I would say, find your joy. There's something else I would say to a 20-year-old, and that is the more you put into something, the more you're going to get out of it. And I speak to this principle a lot when I'm speaking to groups. And I actually, it's funny, I have a glass of water. I use a demonstration with the glass of water, and I'll put something in it to show the scientific process of volume. I'm grabbing a golf ball. The more you put into something, the more and easily you can get out of it. It's a scientific principle of volume, but I think it also applies to a 20-year-old, no matter what they are choosing to do in their life. Put more in it. Don't sit by and wait, because good things are going to happen to those who go get it. So it's the volumetric principle of putting as much into it as you can to get as much out of it that will benefit you. Those two things.
What historical figures inspire your work? What historical figures motivate you to really go out and do the best that you can in your role?
You know, that is such a great question. And I think most of us in this industry probably have the same heroes, I like to call them, or legends that opened the path to us. You know, certain presidents, certain photographers. I love Ansel Adams and how he brought the national parks into the American home. But I actually think that my answer to that question would be the founders of the National Geographic Society. So back in 1888, this group, I think there were about 33 of them, of expeditions and scientists and geographers and travelers, got together to form this society that we later now know as the magazine, the National Geographic magazine. And I'll never forget growing up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and going to my grandparents' house and seeing volume upon volume of National Geographic magazines. And what that did for me was it sparked this curiosity of the world. So you have to remember, there was no internet. In fact, in the early 50s, maybe even to the late 50s, most American homes didn't have a TV. And when they did, it certainly was a black and white one. The 60s, it certainly became more popular to have televisions in your home. But you have to remember, the best way to learn things was either through a magazine or through word of mouth. So I'm taking us back a few decades, but the National Geographic magazine brought to the American household this sense of adventure, of wanting to explore parks, especially national parks, of wanting to explore the world, both by land and by sea, and of wanting to meet new peoples and new cultures to share this world with. So I credit my passion going all the way back to the historical figures who started the National Geographic Society and brought the world to the American people, even before television and, our photographers' magazines could reach those homes. These guys were doing it first.
Now, always fun question. If funds were unlimited, what would you like to see done for your municipal parks department?
If funds were unlimited, I would love to create a new community center. We tend to have a lot of recycled buildings here that were formerly something else that we've been able to repurpose into community gathering places. And I would love to be able to turn our outdoor aquatic center, Wayne, into a year-round facility. So currently we have an outdoor pool with all the amenities. We have a couple pools actually, the diving well, the slides, the zero depth, and then of course the lap swim. But I would love to be able to turn that aquatic center into a year-round facility so we could offer even more opportunities for physical fitness and recreational opportunities year-round here. Up in Northern Illinois, where I'm located, about 40 miles north of Chicago, we have some pretty harsh winters, and we see a decline in people getting out during some of those very cold months. Sometimes the car won't start, it's that cold, or we have too much snow. But it certainly is a fitness goal of ours to get people engaged and out year round, whether that's in a center or in one of our trails and parks. But that would certainly be a goal of mine, is to have more year round activity for our folks, especially swimming. If we could dome that or create another swim space indoors, that would be such a priority for us.
Now, last but certainly not least, what is your vision for the future of parks and recreation in Illinois?
Well, my vision for the future would be taking us to an even higher level of inclusion. So I do know that what's come relatively recently because of this pandemic is more assurances how important we are in the community, what our functionality is in the community, because you never know what you had till you lost it. And for a year, we lost a lot of gathering opportunities for fitness, for recreation, and for social and emotional health. So I would like to see the future of our industry grow in importance of that social and emotional and mental health well-being in prominence. We've often focused on the economic benefits of parks in Illinois, and I stand by that. Absolutely. But I think for the future, I'd love for us to start moving toward those social and emotional and mental health benefits for all. And if we can promote that, because we've learned that this last year, we've experienced and lived it this last year. So I think that's the future for us, is to understand, recognize, and promote that what we have in our holdings with park districts and special rec districts, conservation and forest preserve districts, and even municipal park departments, we hold within our hands the very future of people's health, both physical, emotional, and mental. And I think that will take prominence in the years ahead.
Pam, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to sit and talk with me and to share some of your wisdom and your experience. It's been fantastic talking to you. I hope that anyone watching this has taken some real positives from it and can apply those to what they're doing now and really make a difference in their community. So thank you so much, Pam, for taking time out of your day. I appreciate it. And thank you very much.
Well, I want to say thank you to you and everybody at IAPD. All of our members really appreciate your advocacy on our behalf, especially coming out of the year that we did. We tuned into your website, to your briefings, and to your recorded videos that you sent out all year long. And that cohesive work on our behalf was truly and duly recognized and appreciated. So thank you all so much at IAPD. And it was my pleasure to spend some time with you today. Thanks so much.